What it do? What it do? Welcome to the High Level Nerd channel. It's me, fellow weeb, gamer, all that, and then some. And we are still, we are just mowing down this path of um of of Halloween movies. I mean, we're like in the middle of like October at this point, so by the time I'm reviewing Halloween Kills, you know, still got a lot of October left to enjoy all the Halloween stuff. Trying to get into that Halloween spirit. That's why I'm doing these reviews also. Want to get more into it, more into these Halloween movies. We're still more like horror movies as opposed to like Halloween movies, but you know, you still get the Halloween feel from these movies. Um, and in this one, not so much. A little bit. You get some Halloween in this one, like you know, kids dressing up. It's very, yeah. Um, let's get into it. Sorry, I'm not sober because I don't want to be. But let's get into this. Yes, Halloween Resurrection. Just when you thought it was over, it never is. That's the thing about these Halloween movies. No matter how dead Michael looks, they could do anything to bring him back. And they outdone themselves in this one. Because honestly, I almost forgot. Like, I was thinking to myself, because I have seen this before. And I was thinking to myself, how does Michael come back? What like, do they do some Curse of Michael Myers bullshit again or something? Like, but no, apparently, it starts off with a wild twist. Uh, apparently, because it takes off basically right after the previous one, Halloween H2O, and um, yeah, now uh, the person that Laurie killed, Michael Myers, when she chopped his head off, and they peeled off the mask, they found out that it wasn't him. Which is weird because you were thinking like, why wouldn't the guy talk? And maybe he couldn't because he was, he was between a tree and a van, so maybe he got. But it was like he got out the bag, like the bag, and he really got out of there, and like he never talked, like he never talked. The thing is, when the people brought him in the ambulance, they never took off the mask before and never noticed that it wasn't him. Like it was just very like, when did Michael switch his body, and why was this guy not talking? Was he another like patient or something? Like it was very. It's like, wow, maybe Michael Myers is more clever than we thought before when he was doing detective work. Now he's fucking, you know, putting out replicas and shit of himself. But I guess that's what they had to do in order for him to look in the shadows and be like, yes, I got away with it. And now he's off to kill again, and they play that wonderful music that we all love. Um, yeah, because that theme is always amazing. They always put new scores, because I'm noticing that they are by new composers in most of these movies. And they're good. They really give you that scary feeling, especially in this one. This one was a very it was a very new take on it. Considering we are now in the 2000 era. 2002 this came out. Directed by Rick Rosenthal. I should you know set it right before, because he directed Halloween 2. So, you know, a classic. He directed the first Halloween right after John Carpenter, sequel to the original first. And that one, I loved it. The amount of body count in that one compared to the first one, it was like, all right, yeah, I love it. And And this one, he did it good. I loved it. For as modern as it can be in a 2002 movie, he did really good. And they used a lot of tech in this movie. A lot of tech. You were getting video cameras. You were getting cell phones. You were getting uh, Palm Pilots, handhelds, whatever people call them. Um, yeah, you were getting these technologies, this computer that showed up on a big screen, the computer that was connected or the keyboard that was connected to the TV, and it was like, all right, we're doing this, we're in this era now. Which is funny because they had all this tech, and you would think, yes, this is in a modern era, and they would have more of an advantage over Michael Myers, which they did at some point. Um, One of the kids was helping one of the girls escape through the house to get away from him. And that's something not that's something that I like. This is that they took it back to the Michael Myers house, which hasn't been used since even because even in the first one they showed it, I think it was still deserted. So it never been used since Michael killed his sister. So that is been a very deserted house, and yet they went in there. The thing is, this is like a group of college. Were they college kids? They might have been college kids. Yeah, a group of college kids um, sign up to be part of this show to go into the Michael Myers house and just explore. And it is a very it's like a suicide mission because you play in the lion's den, you're gonna die. Simple as that. And yeah, they all go in. It's what you would expect. Um, of course, this contains spoilers. I was saying it before. I should start saying it more sooner now. But yes, these do contain spoilers. Um, as they go through all like and forward where throughout everywhere throughout this movies. But yes, because I think the only survivors of these movies were only two people. Two people were survivors. Like the main chick who was Sarah and Busta Rhymes. They were like, "Yo, we let the last black dude survive. Let's let Busta Rhymes survive too." And honestly, it wouldn't make sense to kill him because he was the only one that matched Michael Myers' strength. Like he was just as big as him. He was just as strong. He was kicking him with Tims. You you kick somebody with Tims, you're done. Um, yeah, and yeah, Busta Rhymes only took like what, like one or two stabs in the shoulder. I mean, LL Cool J was shot multiple times, and he survived. It was like a pool of blood underneath him, and he survived. And you just be like, how the fuck? A bit resurrection. And yeah, and some people would have been like, oh yeah, they probably wanted Busta Rhymes to die because he was kind of like not like a bad guy, but he sent everybody in this house. He was trying to trick them, and that's the thing about this. There was a lot of confusion in this movie because you take a group of kids, bring them into old Michael Myers' house, try to scare them for TV entertainment, and then these kids start seeing some of the stuff that the TV crew planted, and then they'll be like, oh well, they're trying to scare us, but then they see other stuff that they would think is fake, but then that's the shit that Michael Myers has been doing there because apparently Michael Myers has been living there since forever. After the second one, when he survived that fire, I guess he just and couldn't find Laurie. He just went home and survived there until he found out of school, did all that bullshit, and then and and yeah, now just went home and chillax. And that's the thing, yeah, because the movies, yeah, I forgot about that twist that Lori killed the wrong one because yeah, Lori is in a mental institution now. Like I guess her son is off somewhere. This is 2002, 4 years after that. So it was like yes, it's 4 years since the last movie. Her son would probably be like 22 because he was what like eight. He was like his 18th birthday. Yeah, he'd be like 22, 23. I don't know. And yeah, he's probably doing his own thing now. The mother obviously in a mental institution, but Lori still always clever. I love that we got Jamie Lee Curtis back for one last time. Well, not really, but we got her for one last time in this era. Because she was waiting for Michael. She knew Michael would come for her because she's so smart like that. These nurses were giving her pills to take to sedate her, but she was never really taking them, hiding them. And then Michael obviously comes at her, like she knew, you know, and they go through this chase scene, almost like a tribute to like in a hospital, just like the original second one, which is funny because this was directed by the dude who did the second one. So to do a chase scene in a hospital, he knew how to just recreate that with this new era of new camera work, new score. He like very upgraded this movie from like a horror aspect of the second one, and and yeah, you got that feeling in the beginning. Like you get that feeling in the beginning of this movie already, like starting off like that. But then of course, Lori, she gets the hand on Michael, builds these traps, tries to get him, and then the thing is, Michael is also a little clever. He tries to do this thing where he did in the last movie. Where he tries to reach out to her, and then she's like, "Yes, like I have to make sure I'm not killing another innocent person again." Let me try to take the mask off. Michael gets her obviously, which I would have been like, "Yo, talk, like say who you are or something, or take the mask off yourself," because I was like, "Oh my god!" Like she was so close, and then they were almost falling off, and then Michael actually kills her. He finally gets. We lose Lori in this movie. Like it starts off with losing a main character like her, and her death was so dramatic. Like he stabs her in the back, literally, and while they're hanging off a building, and then she is weirdly just kisses him and says, "I'll see you in hell," and then just falls like, like crazy, like the score just got very like like you know like very epic, and then you're just like, wow, like, and then you're just like, oh well, maybe she could survive it, but nah, he really got her again. And then you're like, yeah, we lose her, and yeah, I guess because after that, Michael finished his job, and he was like, oh, the deed is done. I finally killed the family, and which is funny because you figure like, oh, why not just go after her son, the one that's never mentioned at all in this movie, but I guess he's just living free his life. Um, but I guess he decides to just go back home to Haydenfield in his house and just stay there until this TV crew of college kids want to come in and disrupt the line. And this whole cast, big cast. I mean, like I said before, we had Busta Rhymes, we had Jamie Lee Curtis in the beginning, uh, the one who played the main chick that was kind of like in the Jamie Lee Curtis role a little bit. Well, she was like the only survivor, but yeah, she was like the main girl. She was very scared of Michael throughout. Like she was the one who had feared of the Michael. Like every time she saw like a figure of him, she screamed. And yeah, like you always have to have the one that has a little bit of that fear of Michael because that character is always the one to just be like, I'm afraid of this character, and yet somehow end up lasting throughout all of this terror. And that's the character you really stay with throughout the movie, and it just is good because she had all these other extra big characters that were just very good, supporting actors throughout this movies, and like you really Like, because the thing, the girl plays Sarah, Bianca Kajich. Oh my god, these people just have like, I have no idea. But the thing is, she was in like 10 Things I Hate About You. She was in 30 Minutes or Less. You know, she was in a lot of like teen movies. Uh, and you got Sheen Patrick Thomas from like Save the Last Dance, also in a bunch of other like teen, high school, college kids or whatever movie. You have Kate Sackhoff. First off, that's don't even need to say who that was. Bo-Katan, Mandalorian. She was amazing in this freaking movie. Like that's the thing. Like Sarah, the main chick, was not the only one that was afraid in this movie. You had so many other characters that were afraid, just like her. You had Thomas Ian Nicholas from the American Pie movies. Like you had Tyra Banks in here. Like Ryan Ryan Merriman. Hard to pronounce that last name. If you knew who he is, you'll know. But I know him from Final Destination 3 because I recently watched that as well. Um, I'm pretty sure he was like in like Disney movies, but it's like, but he was like the high school kid who was watching the TV show on the laptop on the screen with the keyboard, and having a bunch of other watching it, not believing what they see on there, and they're like, "Oh, it's all fake," and then when they actually really believe, or one of the girls like talking to the screen, you know, at one point they are convinced, and then they're just like, "Oh my god, it's not funny no more." It's like some of the extra acting that's in the back, like the extras in these movies do a little outstanding, I think, and it's just it is a very 2000 movie. I could tell you that, especially with the tech, But it's good because they really know how to, they use that to their advantage. It really helped them throughout this movie. And Michael, played by Brad Lore. That's two E's. Brad Lore, yeah. Um, I don't know if you ever played Michael before. This is the first time I'm seeing it that they're actually showing his name because in the other ones they kind of didn't. Um, Good Michael. He was good, and I felt like I've always said this about the other ones, but Michael's like, it's not like it's hard to play a bad Michael until we get to the next two movies. Not so much. That's when we get to those. But he was just very good. Like I say, it's the mask that always kind of bothers me a little bit. I do like do you see his eyes most times throughout these movies. Most times you see his eyes. I like that. They don't have like so much of the standing. They had the visual again of the looking. You're seeing it through the cameras as if it's hit through his eyes, and I really like it when they do that. But he was just a very good Michael who just did that slow walk towards you, knowing you're gonna freaking die, and he was a clever one, especially when it went off against Jamie Lee Curtis. Um, yeah, the mask could have been better, but honestly, it was okay. I, I, you know, I learned to deal with that, especially considering when they had Busta Rhymes come out, because they have to have an imposter Michael Myers to scare the college kids, get them all riled up. And yes, Busta Rhymes comes out with the fake one. Of course, his mask looks a little more. Then he sees the real. At one scene, he sees the real Michael and is yelling at him. He thinks he's one of his other crew members. He's like, you know what? Go check that door. He's yelling at him, screaming at his face. And Michael actually just goes and just like walks and like does it or something. And I'm just like, like if anything, Michael probably was like in hindsight was like, damn, I should have killed him when I had the chance because this motherfucker whooped my ass. But yeah, I mean, it was good. Like all the chase scenes that was there, because there was a lot of them. Like each of these characters now, each of these teenagers, whatever, they each had like a very specific death. Like there was one where what's his name? Sheen Patrick Thomas. Rudy was his name. Um, he looked at one really big kitchen knife and he was like, "Oh, you think this is the one that Michael Myers did to the, do his thing?" And then at one point when Michael Myers stabbed him already with like two kitchen knives, he takes the really big one that he mentioned earlier and stabs him right through. And I'm just like, you know, comes full circle. And yeah, he does that to them. He kills these other people with just simple head squeezing. Like you see Michael have strength. Like he burges through doors like nothing. He squeezes dudes' heads. Like this Michael has strength, which is why it's very surprising when you see Busta Rhymes whoop his ass, and you're just like, yeah. Also at the same time, but and it's crazy. All this happens because you're like, oh, Michael Myers' house is not that big, but they have like an underground layer that's like extra stuff, and it's like clearly Michael's been staying there killing rats and shit, and yeah, and it's weird because the school, this group of kids wanted to go in this and do this because they want to like talk about Myers. Of course, at one point they called him like a serial killer. They very like humanize him, saying like, oh, he's just a man. He's like a serial killer. This is shit. His gimmicks or whatever. And it's a very it's a very weird thing because Michael is supposed to be the entity of evil, which they don't really say in this one. This one, they really do see Michael as a serial killer, and I guess because with all the other horror movies that came out around this time now, horror movies are being very more not common, but like simple. People would want to be the best serial killer horror movie, and Michael Myers wasn't that, and now they're trying to do that, and they've done it before, but this one they really try to do that. Um, but like he wasn't like an evil now. He was just a smart man who escaped the first time, and now he's doing this, and um, but it's good. It's really good that they do this in a very like Michael is still a beast, someone not to mess with. Like I said, he has super strength. He comes at you with that weird, like you see so much of his shadow figure around, which is scary because you see it like come closer, and then when he turns that corner, you're just like, oh shit. Even with that mask, um, and yeah, and it's funny because I say they before like that Michael Myers, they try to refer him as a serial killer because there was a scene in the beginning. There was like a dude in the mental institution. He was also like a serial killer, or I guess admired serial killers, and he just like gave a summary of like every serial killer he named, like, and then he sees Michael Myers come by, and Michael Myers, he names everything he does, born this day, killed this many people. So yeah, they really put Michael on that list of serial killers in this movie. And it's funny that Michael Myers even gives him a knife. Michael does at one point. Michael doesn't kill someone. He gives someone a knife. Yeah, you know what? You be a serial killer now. Like Michael Myers is trying to like influence killing, and I don't like that. I mean, it is what it is. Especially that they killed poor Jamie Lee Curtis. But the way Michael killed these people, chopping their head off, stabbing them through stuff. I think he did have some moments of staring at the bodies a little bit. I'm not really quite sure about that. But the chase scenes throughout the house were amazing. They were very horror-ish, very, you know, as always, Michael kills everybody there. Some of them were off screen, I feel like. Actually, not really. Maybe. Some of them you see some real good contact of him, like literally stabbing, like you see him literally stab someone in the throat, and now it's just brutal. At moments when someone's not watching TV, when there's so much TV around, and Michael Stat kills somebody in front of a TV when no one happens to be watching that screen. Crazy. Um, one kill that was off screen was poor Tyra Banks. At one point, I haven't seen her in a while in the movie, and I was like, "Oh, what happened to her?" And like, did she get away? Did she just run? And then you see her on the ceiling, pool of blood, wires around her neck, strangled. Um, which apparently there was an alternate version where you see after the incident, you see like public images of like Michael behind her, about to strangle her, I think, or something like that. Yeah, a little tidbit of that. I forgot to mention before, writer was Larry Brand. Like I said, Deborah Hill, John Carpenter's name is also in there. Probably just giving little hints, all that. Especially working with Rosenthal again. Um, yeah, it gave that good tone of it, but like the feel of like a real Halloween movie of Michael Myers being that the shape, not so much of a serial killer is what I really enjoyed about the Halloween movies. Um, I'm just trying to think what else what else can I say about this other than at this point now, throughout all the horror, throughout all the little comedy bits that they sprinkle throughout this movie, because this one is since it being in the year it is, they have to do that, so they do, and it's all right, whatever. After all that, obviously the only survivor is Sarah, Busta Rhymes, but not until they take down Michael Myers. And how did they do it in this time now, knowing that it is the real Michael Myers? Um, he gets electrocuted, literally electrocuted, and I think does he burn up? I don't know if he gets burned. I don't know if they see him fire again. Which is funny how I think he still looked fine after being exploded in the second one. Whatever. He gets electrocuted like crazy. That I would have just chopped him up at that point. Like this time, let's really chop his head off, or at least take the mask off, make sure his head. Like really, if Jamie Lee Curtis was still around, like she would have in H2O, she would have got the job done. But whatever. You would suspect that dude really be dead. But I guess there's a way to come back from being electrocuted the way he just fucking did and being like whatever. Because yes, after all the reporters come now at the end saying, "Oh, what was it about Michael Myers?" Then Busta Rhymes like saying Michael Myers is just a random serial killer freak who just wants to kill anyone and anybody in his path, like anyone, anybody, like whatever, any like anything. Like Michael Myers is like, yes, he was saying mostly how he's just a person, a serial killer who just kills anybody in his way, but I feel like that would have been a good moment to give that monologue that he is evil. He is just, but then it would have been like, oh, it is the end of him. And that's the thing. They do this bit where he's in the he's in the morgue now. They take him in, and he's like, "Oh, I got a celebrity for you, Michael Myers." And then she's like, "Oh, Michael Myers, famous serial killer." She wasn't really like that, but in her mind, she's probably getting excited, like, "Oh, I have to check this out now." And his body really is burnt up to a crisp. But then, of course, it focuses on the face, zooms in, eyes just opens up. And then, yeah, that's Michael lives. And that's the thing. Michael can always come back. If they didn't have to do it that way, you could do it many other ways. But if they didn't, people would assume that he's actually dead or just focus on the face and not open his eyes. And then people would be like, oh, like, could he, like, why would they do that and not? I don't know. But they would always expect to be another Michael Myers movie. That's why. Even if there's a way to continue it or reboot it, because obviously 4, 5, and 6 was including this. This is a sequel from H2O. That was a sequel from the first two. And now it ends here, even though they would have made a next one, but they didn't. And who knows what that would have been like, especially after being electrocuted. Hopefully, they would have kept him more burnt up and with a better mask. But it ends there for Michael, even though he would have lived on and still killed, because after this, he gets rebooted into the Rob Zombie movies, which I feel like I'd rather rewatch Halloween 3 than watch. No, I mean, we at least get Michael Myers, but yes, I mean, I'm just not that fond of those, but that's when we get to them. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was really good. I loved it. The killings were good. The Michael Myers of it was okay. So the score of this is, I feel like most of your scores are gonna be the same, and I feel like I've said this before too, but Yes, this one I would give. I give this one a 7. It's weird that I give these so high most of the time. But 7, yeah, 7 out of 10. Because it's hard to get in that like 8, 9, or 10 era even. I mean, I gave those probably to a couple in the beginning, but yeah, most like it's hard like to be for it to be like a 4 or 3. Like I mean, maybe wait to the next ones, but yeah, this one. That's what I'm saying. These are like in the middle, so that's why it's very giving it a 6 would be like actually you know what, yeah, we'll give this one a 6 because it could have been more Michael Myersy. I didn't like how he just gave up. The plot could have been better, like included Jamie Lee's son or whatever. Just like a random college kids. They focus on that. They had this main girl who had no connection to any of this, just that she was afraid. She had fear of Michael Myers and of fear in general. But it was good with the characters and also like it was very mixed. So that's why I give it the 6, and I'm sticking with it. So yes, Halloween Resurrection gets a 6. I hope you enjoyed this. I did. It was fun. Talking about how crazy this damn movie was. I'm looking at the poster now. Poster is pretty dope for this. Really dope. That's only Halloween. No, I was gonna say only Halloween began in 2002, but no, I mean the only one that's a continuation from the previous ones. But yes, it was a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and share, please. Follow me on IG if you want. High level nerd with 2 eyes because I haven't done that in a while. Um, so yeah, and be good out there. Enjoy, enjoy your days, and read a good book. It always helps clear the mind sometimes. If you ever feel like your mind needs to be cleared, so yeah, do that. um, I have been your fellow nerd, and I'll see y'all next time. Stay frosty.